Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to yet again another 2023 review, and today we have the Washington Capitals. The Capitals, this is the first time in a while I've talked about the Capitals very early in the season, or in these reviews, mainly because they've made the playoffs pretty much my entire life. I think there's only been one season apart from this year where they haven't made the playoffs in the 16 years I've been alive on this planet, which is crazy to think. The Capitals this season went 35, 37, and 10 for 80 points. They had a .488 win percentage. They scored 255 goals and let in 265, and they were minus 10. They were 18, 16, and 7 at home, and 17, 21, and 3 on the road. So, very interesting season for Washington. There was a lot of issues involving injuries, and when we get into like the leading scorers and all that, you're going to see that there wasn't a lot of players who played a full season with the team. There was at least, I think, six of these players that we're going to talk about here were out for the majority of the year, and that's tough. It really stinks, dealing with a lot of your top guys being out for the majority of the season, and even when they come back from some of their injuries, they may not be the same player that they were before them. Of course, they're going to release their head coach, Peter Laviolette. That was announced. And again, this is the first time they've missed since, I believe, 2008. Don't quote me on that. It might be '06. I might be wrong. But this is the first time since 2008 they have not made the playoffs, which is crazy to think. And the first time ever that both the Flyers, the Penguins, and the Capitals were all out of the playoffs at the same time, which is just mind-blowing to think. But yeah, Washington. And this really all stems from having a really bad, second half of the season. Their first half of the year wasn't that bad. October they went 5-4-1. November they were 5-7-1. So the first 2 months, they were one good, one bad. But then the December was amazing. They went 11-1-2, which was a really good month, and that put them back in the playoff race for sure. Then in January you were exactly 500 at 6-6-1, and then February. That killed them. They went 2-7-0 in February, and you can't do that. Then they went 5-7-3 in March, and they finished off the year 1-4-1 in April. So really, it stems to February is what really killed this team. But you could see throughout the majority of the year they were playing shorthanded. A lot of their guys were hurt. There were a lot of guys coming in and out of the lineup. There was a lot revolving around Washington for sure. But yeah, of course, this year just was not a good year all around. And it all stems from that month of February, and that's what killed them. We get into the leading scorers. Of course, there are some new guys in here, but of course, the first one should not surprise anybody. It's Alex Ovechkin, 73 games played, 42 goals, 33 assists for 75 points. In fact, he is now second in the all-time goals list in catching Wayne Gretzky, which congrats to him. It's an amazing accomplishment. Of course, he's had a really good year, but 42 goals for him is kind of unacceptable. Well, not unacceptable, but it's kind of And if you're going to criticize for, scoring 42 goals and saying that's a down season, you're a good player. Then you got Dylan Strome, a new acquisition, and with a lot of guys, being out of the lineup and being hurt, it really gave Dylan Strome a chance to flourish, and it's shown. 81 games played, 23 goals, 42 assists, 65 points. Played a really good season all around for the Capitals. Played pretty much a full year. For the majority of the year, also, he was a first-line center. They had him playing above Kuznetsov, who this season had 81 games played, 12 goals, 43 assists for 55 points. There were those rumors mid-season that he might get traded, and then Kuznetsov shut down those rumors and saying that everything you see on social media is not true, which he's not wrong. Or not everything you see on social media is true, is basically what he said. But yeah. Kuznetsov had an okay year, but was second line majority of the season. Connor Sheary, I thought, had a solid season. 82 games played, 15 goals, 22 assists for 37 points. Former Penguin came to the Capitals. Has played really well this year. TJ Oshie, and if there's anybody, and if the Capitals want to look at making trades this year, want to look at moving guys out, I think Oshie could very well be the first to go. He played 58 games, though, so he was out for the majority of the season. But he had 19 goals, 16 assists, 35 points. I am wondering if he's going to be out of Washington this coming season. It really wouldn't surprise me, but then again, they could also keep him too. Sonny Milano, new acquisition, was picked up late in the season or late in the offseason. Came in, played solid with Washington. I didn't think he played too bad in times. 64 games played, 11 goals, 22 assists for 33 points. Was spent time with Hershey for the majority of the season, but came up and played 64 games. So he wasn't too bad in the times that he played. But of course, with a lot of injuries they had, you were going to have guys come up and play. John Carlson, who had himself a rough year. 40 games played, 9 goals, 20 assists, 29 points. Dealt with a lot of injuries. 100%. Stuff with his eyes. There was a lot of stuff going on with Carlson this year. And just hoping that he can recover, be healthy next year, and maybe come back. Nick Jensen, 77 games played, 5 goals, 24 assists, 29 points. Solid forward there, didn't play too bad. Anthony Mantha, and this is concerning. 67 games played, 11 goals, 16 assists for 27 points. That trade, when that happened, was really a lose-lose deal when Mantha went to Washington and Verano went to Detroit. That was pretty much a lose-lose trade for both sides. And Mantha did not have a good year. Then finally, you got Nick Dowd, who's 10th in scoring with 65 games played, 13 goals, 12 assists for 25 points. So, yeah, notice some of the notable guys I didn't mention there that didn't crack the top 10. Nicholas Backstrom, Tom Wilson. There's probably a few others that I'm not thinking about right now that didn't play a lot this year. And they played a good amount, but they didn't put up points. And it really sucks. Seeing Backstrom and Wilson get hurt really hurts the Capitals. And you're really going to have to rely on, I believe they're both healthy for next season. But if they're both, you got to rely on them being healthy next year if you do want to make a push to the playoffs. And that kind of leaves you in a wonder of, what is Washington going to do? Are they going to try and go through a retool? Or are they going to try and go all in with the guys they have? It's really a wonder what they're going to do. Goaltending, you had Darcy Kemper, 57 games played, 22, 26, and 7, with a 2.87 goals against average and a .909 save percentage. Played well for the Capitals this year. I thought he had a good season. But yeah, I like Kemper and the way he's played this year. Then he got Charlie Lindgren, 31 games played, 13, 11, and 3, a 3.05 goals against average and a .899 save percentage. Lindgren, of course, was like the backup for the majority of the year, won a championship in the AHL last season. I didn't think it was a bad pickup, but, he had his moments this year with Washington for sure. And then the last thing I want to go over for this season is the trades. They traded Lars Eller over to the Colorado Avalanche, which I thought was a good move. I remember Eller most for the cup-winning goal in Game 5 in 2018. Then he got Eric Gustafson to Toronto, and they really won that trade. When you realistically look at it. They did give up a first-round pick, yes, but that's Boston's first-round pick, so it's not their own. You got a young defender back in Rasmus Sandin, who, when shown that he can play the right minutes with the right guys, he exploded with Washington towards the end of the year. Even though they were not good towards the end of the season, he exploded with them. Marcus Johansson to the Wild. Johansson was brought in last year on a 1-year deal. Didn't expect much of that. Dmitry Orlov to Boston along with Garnet Hathaway. They actually they did good in that trade. They got Craig Smith back. And it looks like Orlov does want to go back to Washington. So if they bring Orlov back, that removes some of the blue line questions they had. And then lastly, of course, Hathaway as well moved over there too. So definitely plays a role. But yeah, that's it for the season. And look, it was a year full of injuries, and the month of February really killed them. 2-7-0. You're not gonna make the playoffs after that. That late in the season, especially in a competitive division. But yeah, Washington is facing some serious questions. Now, they do have some things on their side. They have the 8th overall pick in this year's draft, which of course is going to help them pick a really solid player. But they don't have a lot of picks after that. They have 1 second, they have 1 4th, 1 5th, and 1 7th. So they're really going to have to rely on some late draft picks there to make some moves. And I think there could be some guys that they look at, maybe they want to trade, get some other picks in the draft. But really, I think what Washington needs to do is they need to clear some cap space. And they got some free agents moving out that they can do that. Craig Smith, Connor Sheary, Matt Irwin, Connor Brown, and Carl Hagelin. I forgot to mention those two guys too. Connor Brown brought in mid-season, didn't really play much whatsoever. Hagelin also didn't play much this year either. So I would imagine they let all those guys walk, except maybe Sheary, and maybe they keep Craig Smith around. But honestly, I think that everybody walks besides Connor Sheary. Maybe even Sheary as well. Just kind of clear up cap space, trying to make something work there in Washington. And the only RFA I have for you is Martin Fehervary, defenseman. We'll see if they keep him around. I'm sure they will. But yeah, apart from that, you got your guys for the future. You got Henrik Lapierre. Lapierre was selected in 2020. You got Connor McMichael, who obviously played some time this season. He's got to pick it up next year, though. Next year is the do or die year for him. And then you got Vincent Iorio as well. Yeah, I'm going to need to see a good draft pick out of Washington this year. I would imagine they look for probably a forward, maybe a defenseman. But yeah, we're going to have to see some stuff come out of Washington before I can say, yeah, they'll make the playoffs next year. It is a season, and you're really wondering, like, what are they going to do come the offseason? And it's going to be a very interesting one for them for sure. But yeah, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Thank you all for watching. We will do Detroit in our next video, so stay tuned, Detroit fans. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Adios.